Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may happen to be joining us from. It's another fantastic Thursday, and we are here presenting our Build Your AutoCAD IQ webinars. My name is Zach. I'm here with Dave, and in the Q&A with us is going to be Bryce running the show for us in the questions and answer section. Today we're going to be presenting all about the Design Center in AutoCAD and in AutoCAD LT. We'll run through it. It's the same in both programs. So most of the AutoCAD IQ webinars we present, we're going to be presenting in at least the Back to Basics anyway. I should clarify, the Back to Basics track is going to be done in AutoCAD LT. If there's ever a feature, of course, that we cover that's only available in one or the other, we'll try our best to point that out so there's no confusion there. But let's get into this a little bit further. This is us. Bryce and I are in the Lake Oswego, Oregon office, and Dave is in Manchester. As always, there's a chat window, the questions, if there's anything that comes up that you need us to go over again during the presentation, don't hesitate. If you have questions that pop up, put them in there. Bryce will do his best to answer them. If we have time at the end, we'll do some live on-air Q&A. Everything gets recorded, as always, and you can always check these out on our YouTube channel at any time if you can't attend the webinars live with us. So just to go through our upcoming calendar here, we always have these on Thursdays, so next Thursday being Thanksgiving, you get the week off, and so do we. So we will not have any presentation, so kill all your reminders for next Thursday, but try to join us back here December 1st. We'll get into Beyond the Basics. Going to do publishing and e-transmitting, which are really handy features. December 8th, the tips and tricks, guys, we'll go through, well, I should clarify this. The Mac version 2017 may not be out by just then, so we may have a replacement webinar for that Thursday, but as of right now, that's what we're shooting for, but that may be subject to change, so keep your eyes out for that, and any reminders will be sent out before that happens. December 15th, the third dimension, covering environmental exposure, IBL, and presets within AutoCAD 2017. So that's specific to full AutoCAD programs. Of course, anybody running LT, we never want to discourage you from attending, but just note that most of the stuff in there, if not all, is going to be geared for the full releases of AutoCAD. Again, there are links in these slide decks. These are all posted, and the links through your invites will have access to all these links here that you see on the screen. We'll have our data sets that we use, any scripts that we might have used, and of course the recordings are on the YouTube channel. My recommendation is to put them on 1.5 speed because you get through them a lot quicker that way. All right, the Autodesk Knowledge Network, always expanding. We're always adding to it. You can help us in this respect too through the community, the forums, the blogs, the Idea Station. It's all a way to further knowledge about AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT. We're constantly writing articles as issues come into us, so it's an ever-growing resource. There's the links for downloads, hot fixes, service packs, what have you. Take advantage of those because if your product isn't up to date, chances are it's not going to be functioning as well as it could, because there's a reason we put out updates, and it's usually to fix something. So today, this week, we are going to be going through the Design Center, and Dave will be managing most of that presentation. We'll go through at the end and do a few things, little gotchas, little trivial things to know about the Design Center, things we think you might want to know. So we'll go through the user interface, managing content with the Design Center, creating tool palettes, one of the most powerful aspects of the Design Center, and a few other things as we have time. But before we get into any of that, as always, we have everybody's favorite. We have a few polls we need to throw out just to get them out of the way, and then we'll get into the content. So as we always do, the first thing we want to know is whether or not this is your first Build Your IQ Autodesk webinar. Always helps us to know who our audience is, and so we can tailor the content as we go along. Looks like a pretty goodly percentage have voted, so I won't let this go too much longer. Sorry, I don't have the Jeopardy music with me like I did a few times back, but um, any comments about that will be happily accepted. All right, so let's close this one out, and I'll share the results with you there real quick. Looks like the majority are returning customers, and for those newcomers, welcome. Glad you're here. Hope we can show you some things that maybe you didn't know before, maybe you can work into your workflows. So the next one we want to roll out is to know which AutoCAD programs you're using out there. Again, with most of these and all these polls, we're just seeking to mine information about who we're talking to. It really helps us to tailor the content, and you know, the certain tracks really speak to different experience levels. Of course, this is the back to basics, so there's probably not going to be anything earth-shattering here as far as tips and tricks. But if you're relatively new to the program, maybe you've never even heard of Design Center, this should be helpful. All right, so let's close this one out. Quickly share the results with you there. Looks like the majority are AutoCAD LT and AutoCAD as per usual. Sometimes that fluctuates, but it just depends on who we have in during these sessions. And then lastly, before we get into the content with Dave here, we will ask the question, have you ever used Design Center? Yes, no, and I've never heard of that feature. Again, I think it's an oft unused and underutilized part of the program, and forgotten in some cases. So you know, there hasn't been a lot of development work on it in the past several years, but honestly, it does what it does, and it does it pretty well. So there hasn't been a whole lot of call for it to be expanded upon. So when you see what it can do, I think you'll note that it maybe is cooler than you thought it was. Or if you've never heard of it, which a few of you are saying you haven't, we will hopefully show you something new. So let's close that out, share the results real quick with you here. Again, there is a percentage of you that never heard of Design Center, and that's really why we're here. I always like to reiterate that we're not a replacement for training. So please, if you're ever unsure about the software, how to use it, how to utilize it in your workflow, there are myriad opportunities and resources out there for training, be it books or community college courses or online videos or what have you. There's a lot of information. Just because the product is so mature at this point, there's almost nothing new under the sun as far as the basics, at least. So avail yourself of anything you can find. Get your hands on some training materials, as they're very useful. So we'll just quickly share out the results with this, and then I will throw it over to Dave. Most of you have used Design Center, looks like at least half, so that's good to see. And for those others, maybe we'll change that. So at this point, I will...
So can you see my screen okay, Zach?
Let me take a look. I'm trying to make you the presenter, but I don't. There we are. Yep, now I can.
Okay.
Sure can.
Yeah,
all right.
Well, thanks,
Take
Zach.
it away, Dave.
All right. As Zach said, my name's Dave, and I'm over in Manchester, New Hampshire, and happy to see a bunch of you still attending here, even though we have Autodesk University going on. I know a lot of folks are probably at Autodesk University and learning all kinds of great stuff about our new offerings and you know, socializing with all the other attendees there. But great to have you folks with us. The first thing I want to do before I even get into Design Center, so Design Center is going to be a tool that allows you to kind of pull different things out of other drawings. The way that, you know, most people are probably doing things today is, you know, you have a drawing and you are just, you know, coming over and selecting something from a drawing and doing a copy and then bring it into another drawing, doing a paste or something like that. And what you're going to see with Design Center is a much more efficient way to be able to get data from other drawings. It's also a great tool that to do some stuff that you really can't do any other way. Like copying layers from one drawing to another and things like that. So the I guess the first thing is, where is Design Center? And just like everything in AutoCAD, there's, bunches of different ways to get to things. So you can find Design Center in a number of places in the ribbon. On the View ribbon, over here in the Palette section, there's the icon here for Design Center, so you can access it that way. You can get to it from the Insert tab. There's a Design Center option over here. Or you could type in the command AD Center, or even just ADC if you want. It's a little shortcut to open up Design Center. But regardless of how you do it, it'll open up this Design Center window, and I'll get to this in just a second. One thing that that happens if you're using Design Center is just one more darn palette to get in your way, right? So right now I've got the Layer Manager palette open. I've got my tool palettes open. I've got my property palette. I've got my external references, and now I've just added a fifth one here for Design Center. So I typically do the tips and tricks track, and so I'm just too tempted to not go over at least this one tip here. If you take any of these palettes and you right-click on the edge here, and you select Allow Docking, and then you could select either Anchor Left or Anchor Right, and it'll put it right on the side panel there. And if you have the little selection here for Auto Hide turned on, as soon as you move your cursor off, it'll collapse. So one of the things that I like to do is to basically anchor all of these different palettes to the side screen, and it basically gets them out of the way. Sorry about that. It's just had a little cough there. So it gets them out of the way, and then if you need one, you just basically hover over whichever one you want, and it'll open that up, and it doesn't take up all that real estate, and it's always in the same basic place. There is one issue with AutoCAD, and that the order of these various palettes may change when you reopen AutoCAD. So properties is the third one down right now. If I close AutoCAD and open it back up, it may be the top one or something. So that is one little issue, but it's it's pretty easy to see what's going on here. And if you really want to save some space, you can also just set this to icons, and you just get icons here instead of text. But I like the text. It certainly makes it easier to identify what's what, because those icons are pretty tiny. So this is a good way to just organize some of your palettes. And if you want, you can put some on the right, some on the left, whatever you want to do. So in Design Center. So start off by looking at the user interface a little bit here. So basically, it's pretty basic dialog box. You have a folder view over here on the left-hand side. Basically, just can navigate wherever you need to within your computer or your network environment. There's a tab here for whichever drawings are currently open, which is kind of nice. So you can, if you have some kind of library file and you open it up, you can always get to things. And then there's also a history tab, which will show you, like, I think it's up to 20 of your last files that you've been working with. So pretty basic type of user interface. I'll talk about this here. Yeah, actually, I'll talk about it right now real quick. So over here in your drawings, when you first open up Design Center, it's going to default by out of the box to your sample folders. So if you were to close this thing and open it up, I've already closed it, it would browse automatically here to your sample folder, and that's where you were going to be. So basically, you can take this, and right now this is actually my home folder. If I were to go somewhere else and I select on the little home button, it'll bring me right to these files, which is the default location. Once you're into these files, right, that you can come over and take a look at any of these drawings. And you can see that Design Center will actually allow you to mine all these different types of objects and things from the drawing that you currently have highlighted, and then you can insert those into your current drawing and actually even do some other things. If we look at the top section here, sorry, just went off my Design Center. If you look at the top section, it's pretty basic. You can open up a file, you can go back, go forward, you can go up a level. I'll come back to this one here in a little bit later on, but you can actually search for things. I'll show you how that works. You can go to your favorites tab or folder, and you can add any drawing you want to your favorite. So if you're using something over and over again, you can just select on a drawing here and add it to your favorites. And whenever I go to the favorites, that drawing, there'll be a link to that drawing from the favorites panel. And then if we were somewhere else, so let's see, just select on something, whatever. As I already showed you, you can just hit home and it'll bring you right back to wherever you want as your default home panel or home page here. Actually, and for this webinar, I actually want this to be somewhere else. So I actually copied all of these drawings to a webinars folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that my home panel. So if I go somewhere else and I hit home now, it's going to bring me right to my drawings that I want to use for this particular webinar. Some of these other options here, there's the ability to turn off the tree view. So if you're always working in the same folder and you don't really need to see that, you could turn that off. It gives you a little bit more real estate, right? Turn that back on. You could turn off the preview. So if I select on this and select on a block or whatever, we have a preview area down underneath the various blocks that are showing up on the top. Gives you a nice big, a much better view. And you can expand that to make it a little bit bigger so you can see things a little easier here as you're working through the various blocks. So it's one of my suggestions is to kind of expand that up a little bit. And then there's also a description down here, and you can turn off the description if you don't care about the description. So that's just an option. And then, of course, we have large icons, small icons, which basically are so small that you can't really see anything. You can put this in a list view, so you just have a list of all the names, or a details view, so just gives you a slightly different. The thing that works the best for me, I guess, is the large icon view, but that shows you there. Okay. So let me start by going through some of these various components. As I said, if we're just looking at blocks, actually I'm going to use a different drawing. Let's look at Home Designer and look at blocks. So probably one of the most common things to use, for Design Center is mining blocks out of something. So if I were to take, if I wanted this bathtub in my drawing, we can simply take this and I can just drag it and drop it right into my drawing file, and it will insert that like that. However, you notice that I didn't really get any prompts here, right? It basically just inserted the block. However, if I double click on the block, that brings up my standard insert dialog box. So I could turn on things like, I want to specify the insertion point and the rotation angle. So when I get the block here, I can rotate it, do whatever I want with it. So pretty simple stuff there. We can also actually get right. So one of the things that's really cool about Design Center is it is kind of a combination of lots of different AutoCAD commands. So I just showed you how you can do an insert. I can even redefine the block or insert and redefine it, or even get right into the block editor. So if I needed to change this, I can hit block editor. It'll go ahead and open up the drawing for me and start the block editor. So right now I can make any changes I want to this block. I'm not going to make any. I'm just going to go ahead and close it. But you can get directly into the block editor from Design Center. some of the other things that we have here, you can get detail views, dimension styles, layers. So if I get in, if I look at some of these, I don't think this drawing has a whole lot. Just layer 0, etc. But if I were to take, let's say, here's my first floor. Oh, wall base, here we go. If I look at wall base and I look at layers, you can see that I've got a whole bunch of layers here in the drawing, and I can actually copy those into another file. Let me go back for 1 second. Actually, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start basically populating a drawing. Like maybe I get a drawing from another customer or from a client, and I want to make sure I'm using like their title block and all that kind of stuff. So I have a block drawing with title blocks in it here. If I go over to layouts, you see that I have an 11 by 17 layout. And right now in my drawing, all I have is layout 1 and layout 2. So if I take this layout and I come over and drag and drop it into my file, it just created this 11 by 17 layout with the title block that was in that other drawing file. So didn't have to open it and XREF it in or whatever. I just drag and dropped it and it created the layout for me. By the way, just another tip in case you need to insert a layout from in another way. If I right-click on one of the layout tabs, and you can select from template, and you can basically go over. Let's see, I just grab webinars. Where are we? Go back to the basics. Introduction to design. So here we go. Drawings. And I'm going to change this to DWG instead of a template. And I'll select my wall base drawing. And actually, this only has layout 1. But you can actually insert a layout from another drawing just by picking on or right-clicking on a layout tab and selecting from template, changing to a DWG, and then you can insert that from your other drawing file. I already have a layout 1, so it's not going to work in this particular case. So I have my 11 by 17 template that I just brought in. But if I were to go to my Home tab here and look at my layers, right, all I have right now is layer 1, miscellaneous, and title. Maybe I want to start populating that drawing with some layers from the floor plan. So wall base, and I'll go back to layers, and I can just sit here and select all of these various layers. Oops, hit shift to be able to select them. And again, I can just drag those into my drawing file. And now you'll see that I have all of those layers populated in my drawing. So hopefully you're starting to see some of the power of using Design Center. It's able to do a lot for you. You can even, if I go back to my Model tab here, I'm going to go over and let's close up some of this a little bit. Go to Drawings and go over here to Wall Base. You can insert this as a block, or I can attach this as an XREF. So if I wanted to attach this, it just brings up the attach XREF dialog box. Go ahead and attach the drawing, and here's my drawing being XREF'd into this file. So we've done insert, I've copied some layers, I've just used the XREF command. We were able to access the block editor, right? We could do the same thing with some of these other options as well. There's a drawing here called Textiles Line Types. So this drawing, again, this is in the sample folder inside of AutoCAD LT. This drawing actually has all of the various textiles and line types that we ship with AutoCAD, or a lot of them anyway. So if I wanted to start grabbing some, let's say you want monospace and Swiss bold and whatever, Swiss regular. You can just, again, take those, drop them in, and if I use the style command, I just brought in those textiles. Same thing with the line types, right? If I need some line types, just select on line types here. Here's all the various, a bunch of different line types that we could use. I want a fence line, and I want a tract and a zigzag, and a gas line. Just drag those in, and then I have those line types being brought in. Right? Let's see. So with, same thing with dimension styles, multi-leader section views, right? I don't need to show all of these different things, but it allows you to do an awful lot with just the sample tools here. Okay, so one of the cool things, I mentioned that there's a search button. So if I pick on search, you're going to see that, oh, there you go. Try that. Come on. Search. Why? Right, hold on. Let's see. Let me get my design center back. Where'd you go? Looks like I just dragged it off the end of the world here. So let's see if I can get this back. This is what you call a Volcker moment. So if I go to palettes, design center, and I'm going to say show it, and floating, apply. There we go. So that's another little tip for you is if you ever lose a dialog box, if it goes off the screen, you could use the CUI editor to get it back. So if I go to search, you're going to see that I can search for lots of different things. I could search for blocks, detail views, dimension styles, hatch patterns, whatever. So for example, I'm not going to search my entire C drive because that would be a little crazy, but I can go in and open this up, and I'm just going to look in my webinars folder, and I want to search for a block, and I know that it has chair in the name, so I'm just going to do a chair star and do a search, and it's going to look through all of the various drawings and in my folders here and find any block within any of those drawings that has chair in the name. Just stretch this open a little bit. So go ahead and hit stop because I found what I want. So now I have my chair, and I can just go ahead and insert this in, and here's my chair. So if you have a title block or something, and or maybe a detail that you've used in the past, and kind of what the name is, but you don't remember where it is or where it's located, just use that search option, and you can find lots of different types of things, and it'll just look through all of the different drawings for you. So you don't have to open up 10 different drawings and hope to find the drawing that you're looking for, the block that you're looking for. It'll do all the hard work for you. Obviously, if you need to do a new search, you just go ahead and hit new search. It'll clear your results, and then I could say, okay, I want to find a hatch pattern with a particular name or whatever it is, and this will do all of that for you. So so that's kind of just pulling things out of drawings. There's maybe a better way to manage stuff like content. So in this particular drawing, I've got what is this, 20 different blocks, and I can certainly just drag and drop from here. But another thing that Design Center allows you to do is I can actually pick on these blocks, and I can right click, and I can say I want to create a tool palette from these blocks. So hit create tool palette. This is going to take just a moment. Okay, so it just created this new palette for me, and I can say this is whatever furniture. It's not really just furniture, but that's okay. So it created a tool palette of all these different blocks for me. One of the nice things about a tool palette is I can do a lot more than just insert it. So you notice when I did the insert before, it just put it on whatever the current layer was. So inside my tool palette, let's see, these are all, I should really probably should rename this as to, let's rename this. This is more like plumbing fixtures. Okay, so I can right click on this and we can go to the properties of the tool. And inside of the tool palette, we can then start assigning additional things. So the most common one that people would probably use here is layer. I can say, you know what, I want this to be on the, the sink layer. Well, actually, that's a bathtub, so I'll put it on the shower layer. So instead of just putting it at the standard, it's going to put it on showers, not just the current. I'm not going to mess with color, line type, plot style, all that. But I will say that I want to be prompted for the rotation for it. I obviously don't want to explode it because you want to keep it as a block. And it was drawn to scale, so we want to insert it as scale of 1. So now I'm going to hit OK. And let's see. Let's put a nice bathtub here in the middle of my conference room or whatever this is. So you can see that it's actually being placed on the planned shower layer. So it's gone on the layer that I wanted to, prompted me for the rotation, etc. So you can start building these palettes up. One of the, just I'll tell it to stay open here. One of the nice things here with the palettes too is we can also do other things, like I can add separators inside of here. So, and then you could put this wherever you want. So I'm going to say I want maybe, yeah, that's actually not a bad spot. Add another separator. Oops. Add separator. I'm going to take this one and I'll put it down below my doors. You can add text. So I can say, doors, and actually start labeling things. Put things wherever you want. And this is going to allow you to really get at the content you want a lot easier. If I were to right-click on the palette here, let me just drag this across for a second. So this is, right now it's just mixed in with all my other palettes. If I hit Customize Palettes, I can actually start creating a new group. So right now I'm in the Annotation and Design group, right, where I have annotation, architectural, mechanical, etc. I'm going to create a new group, and I'm just going to call this, custom, whatever, and I'm going to drag this up to the top so it's at a high level. And then I could take my plumbing fixtures and drag that over here on the left-hand side. Let me create one more. Actually, let me just do it I'll create another real one. Go back into my design center. And that was the house designer. I'm going to go into the space plan. This one has furniture and such. And I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to select all these different blocks. I'm going to go ahead and create a tool palette. So I created my new tool palette. I'm going to rename this one, and this one will be furniture. Okay. I'm going to go back into my customized palettes. I'm going to drag furniture over. Actually, before I do that, I want to come up to the top here. Okay, and then I hit close. So now, right now, I have this palette group with all these various different palettes on it. But if I just want to see the stuff that I had, I can just go to custom, and now I just have these 2 palettes that I just created. And of course, you could, again, modify this however you want. So this is great for me, but if you also need to customize palettes again, if you need to share this with somebody else, then just come over here and I could export this, and it'll go ahead and create an XPG file, which is a product group with all of the symbols and such. You probably, if you're going to be sharing this with other folks, you probably want to make sure that the drawing that you're using as your sample is on the network location, because this is looking for it on my local C drive right now, because I created it from my C drive. And you can actually, if I go to properties, you can see it actually has the path to where the source file was. So if you're going to be sharing this, put it on a shared network drive so you can start copying these things from one place to the other. Okay. Did I miss anything, Zach, as far as just the basics here?
That's pretty much it. That's the high points for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that I think one of the coolest things about it is that when you talked about how you might have done things without Design Center, it involves opening a file, selecting a block, copying it to the clipboard, going to your other drawing, pasting it into your other drawing, and this really makes that so much more quick and, I don't know if elegant's the right word, but it's just more efficient way of doing it for sure.
Yeah, and I certainly don't know of any other way of copying things like layers from one drawing to another without using Design Center, or other than copying geometry that happens to be on that layer.
For sure, yeah, and same thing with text styles and line types and all those things. Yeah, if you copy a dimension that has a particular dimension style, it's going to bring the dimension style with it. But you can bring just the dimension style into a drawing without necessarily bringing any existing objects, existing dimension objects that are using that style. So it's head and shoulders above copying and pasting for sure.
Yeah, this is a great tool for setting up your drawing templates that you're going to be using, within your projects and stuff. Instead of just inserting a bunch of stuff and erasing it, you can just copy in what you need to.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you wanted to throw it back to me, I'll go over a couple little things that I wanted to touch on, and before we go into the Q&A here.
Okay. You are now the presenter.
Fantastic. I'm going to show this screen, and let me know when you can see me.
Yep, just popped up.
All right, very good. So a couple of things to note here. With Windows 7 and the newer versions of Windows, we have some abilities that we didn't have previously, back when the Design Center was originally conceived and constructed within the program. And one of those things I want to show here is, for example, the My Documents. If we go into My Documents here, let's see, let's look properties. I think I had it set. So in my case, I've got my documents set to look at these 2 folders, and as you can see here, there are other buttons, so you could include multiple folders in what's called, air quotes, My Documents. But when and the typical default location is C users, your username / documents. That's always been the main place for your documents folder. But with this ability in Windows now to redirect your documents folder, and sometimes you'll have your My Documents folder stored in a network location, and maybe your IT will set that up for you that way so that you're not storing things locally, so just disaster preparedness more than anything there. So what you need to remember though about that is, if you go into the Design Center, and Control-2 is a shortcut to bring it up, you need to remember that you're going to be browsing through specific folders and on specific drive letters, so there aren't any shortcuts in here for My Documents, for example. So you'd have to go to see, I had a customer just last week. They said, hey, if I go to see users, my username, and I go into Documents, I'm not seeing any drawings, any drawing files. But if I pull up the My Documents shortcut in Windows Explorer, I see all kinds of drawings. And that's when we drilled down and we found out that their Documents folder was indeed redirected. So in order to pull up those same files, you can still get to those same files with the Design Center. You just have to know specifically where they are. In this case, they thought they were C users username documents, but they happen to be in like a mapped Z drive on a server somewhere. So you've got to know what the path is. And a lot of times people don't even really have a concept of what a pathing looks like. This directory slash this directory slash this directory. So that's just one of the gotchas I wanted to point out there that you may run into, because I've certainly had people report here that they were using Design Center and found that they couldn't find their files where they thought they were, and it was just a matter of understanding specifically where the things were. Another thing that I wanted to briefly touch on is that you've got these 3 tabs in the Design Center. Now there used to be a 4th tab to the right of History, used to be DC Online for Design Center Online, and what that was a shortcut really just to an FTP site that housed thousands of DWG files full of blocks. And it was pretty slick. It was really well organized, but that's only available at this point in the non-English versions of the program. So you may see still, if you run the CAD Manager control tools, there'll be a checkbox for disabling or enabling the DC Online tab, and you might think, what is the DC Online tab? That's what it is. It used to be here, it's not now. So DC Online used to answer the ages-old question, hey, I need some content. I need a chair, I need a desk, I need a table, what have you, and I don't want to draw it from scratch. Surely you guys have a library somewhere of these sorts of things, and it's true. We used to have a disk that you could get called Symbols, and it was chock full of DWG files, full of blocks, but it's long since out of print. If you can find one, that's great. But with the demise of DC Online within the Design Center, we replaced it with Autodesk Seek. And what this is over here, up in the upper right-hand corner, you don't necessarily have to go through it through Design Center, but you can. It's easy. If you click on this, it will launch your browser, and it'll take you to seek.autodesk.com. Of course, you can mark that as a favorite and just go in your browser to it independently of AutoCAD, but it's a nice little link from within Design Center. And with Seek, the Seek website, what we did is we took all of the stuff that used to be on the DC Online FTP server and more, and we put it together in a much more user-friendly, searchable website. And so, for example, if we go into, say, interior, and we want to look, we've got 493 chairs to choose from. So if we click on that, it'll bring us to a listing of just the chairs. And as you can see on the left there, there's a drill down, and you can further specify what you want. Maybe you want them for office, maybe you want systems furniture for a bunch of things, chairs. You can sort by manufacturer, all sorts of ways you can narrow things down. You can change your sort options here, and next to each one, it's really cool. It tells you, and it's not just for AutoCAD, as you can see here. It tells you what file formats are available for these particular things, and it'll give you a preview of what the thing looks like. Some files are Revit files, some are DWGs for AutoCAD, some are DWIFs you could view in Design Center, and not Design Center, sorry, Design Review, that's what I'm trying to say. And of course PDFs. Now with 2017 AutoCAD having the new ability to take PDFs that are attached and extract out the geometry from them, turn them into editable geometry, all these PDFs that are up here available on the Seek website become that much more useful because you can, and in most cases you'll find a DWG too, but if you just find one that doesn't happen to have an AutoCAD DWG, but it does have a PDF, you can just grab the PDF, import it into AutoCAD 2017 and going forward in newer versions, and turn that into editable geometry. So the Seek website, as you can see here, has lots of stuff, really well put together, really well laid out. It's easy to search through and narrow down, and grab some pre-done content from manufacturers, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you need to build a table or put some chairs, or if you're putting together a floor plan and you need bathtubs and sinks and toilets and tables and whatnot, they're here. So it's save you some time. So take advantage of it, check it out, go to the Seek website, look around. It's cool just to browse around, and some of the files are 2D, some of them are made to look like 2D, but they're 3D, but they're really 2D files. So they come in all shapes and sizes and formats, as you can see here. And this is just looking at chairs. I mean, there's lots of other stuff available. Yeah. So,
and of course you can just filter by DWG. So if you don't want to see Revit files and stuff
exactly.
over with the file types, you just set to DWG and you're just going to see those.
Exactly, and yeah, like Dave said, that's over here in your file type filter, you can narrow it down to, if I just want to see, those objects for which there are DWGs available, I can just check that box, and it'll only show me those items for which there's a DWG file available. And sorry for the slowness of my refresh here. I think our building's having some sort of a network difficulties today, but fortunately we're able to get online and do this presentation all the same. So Seek is a great website, lots of resources there. If you don't see something there, you might learn about some manufacturer names here, and you might visit their websites, and they may have additional content downloadable from there as well. So it's a good jumping off point if you don't happen to find what you're looking for here. So at this point, we'd like to open it up for a little bit of Q&A. There were some questions that we saw previously in the questions section. I think some of them got answered. Let's take a look real quick here.
Looks like somebody's multitasking, watching AU and the webinar.
Yes, yes. Yes, AU is always such an exciting time. It turns our offices into ghost towns, but it fills up a conference room somewhere in Vegas, so it's a trade-off. Let's take a look here. It looks like there is Mark pointed out that it would be nice if Design Center could search for text within certain drawings, and that's absolutely true. It used to be an option with, and I haven't seen it with the newer versions of Windows, but I recall, at least with XP, there was a particular DLL file that got loaded with AutoCAD that made it so that you could search for certain text content and words within drawing files, and it was really a powerful tool, but I think it may have been pushed aside because of the performance hit, because being able to look into the database of each drawing file in a particular folder or on your C drive, God forbid, it would take forever. So it was a nice tool, it was powerful, but I think the logistics of it really have made it so it kind of got backburnered a little bit, but we probably will get to a point where we have something like that available. But yeah, Design Center is not the tool for that. Let's take a look here. Content. That's a hard thing to answer, Raul. It's the industry. It's hard to get a feel for it. I mean, just speaking for myself, I mean, Dave probably has a little bit different perspective, but myself, not having come from industry, not having been a reseller, I'm a little less in touch with what the world at large is doing out there. Being in a support role here is a little bit, you kind of have the blinders on, but you hear a lot of people talk about everybody going to Revit or no, AutoCAD's going to be the main thing forever. It's hard to say what's going to happen going forward, but the development is always going on both of these products. They're very important products for us, obviously. So
It also
it's a
depends
hard, it's a
on,
hard question to answer.
yeah, it also depends on what industry you're talking about. So when it comes to the architectural industry specifically, yes, there are a lot of people moving into Revit, but there's still lots and lots of folks using AutoCAD or AutoCAD architecture. There are lots of other industries as well. So, civil engineering, that's not Revit, that's something else, Civil 3D or Map 3D or, competitive software. But when it comes to just content, like, if you're looking here in Seek, you're going to see that most of these files, when it comes to, these architectural files, are available in both formats because we have customers, many, many customers using both types of products.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good perspective. It is difficult to predict the future, but we'll keep cranking it out. So,
Yeah.
um,
There's also an issue with legacy projects, right? If you have a project from 5 years ago, you're not going to redraw the whole thing in Revit just because you need to make some additions. You're probably going to stick with AutoCAD if it was done in AutoCAD. So
Sure, sure. And then we've got 25 years now, or 30 years, however many years AutoCAD's been going, of people making drawings and doing entire buildings in AutoCAD. So yeah, there's that whole legacy stockpile of DWG files out there that it's just, I can't imagine somebody, redoing all of that as time goes on. I mean, eventually maybe, but yeah, that's a great point, Dave.
yeah, so Jill has a good question, and I think that she wants to know if you can take a chair from Seek and put it right onto a tool palette. I don't think you can do that. I think you'd have to download the chair, put it into a drawing, and then drag it from your content drawing to the tool palette. You can't go directly from Seek to the tool palette.
Right. So let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what we have for this first drawing here. I think there are two files available for this particular chair. I'm curious myself here what we can do with it. I know, if you can use the Design Center once you have the file saved, and I think that's really the Seek website doesn't necessarily interact directly with the program. You have to save the files to your hard drive. In contrast to DC Online, which used to have an eyedropper, you'd bring up the DC Online content and you just drag it right from DC Online and Design Center into your drawing with the eyedropper. So there's one extra step added this way. Let's take, wow, and you can see some of these are saved in pretty old drawing formats, just mainly for compatibility purposes, because there are still plenty of people out there using former versions of the program. Let's take a look. Can we? Well, I apologize. I think my system's just running a little slow for for going through and doing anything really terribly interactive here. Let's see.
Yeah, but one way or the other, though, the software, the chair has to be saved to some drawing on your system or your network before you put it on the tool palette, because the tool palette's not going to look to Seek for the content.
Right, right, absolutely. There's no connection between the site and Design Center and your tool palettes. But one of the things, speaking of tool palettes, Dave showed how you can quickly take an entire drawing full of blocks and turn it into a palette, and that is a really powerful way to build your tool palettes. I'm going to skip this for now on the screen. What I had somebody just last week, and they said that they were at multiple sites. They had users at multiple sites, and they were trying to figure out a way to synchronize their tool palette content. And we do have other articles, and there have been whole AU classes on how to keep your tool palettes synchronized, but a lot of those assume that you're all in the same place. You're all in the same building. You all have access to the same map network drive letters. So this was a little bit different, and they only had, they had a couple of pallets worth of blocks, And what we talked about was maybe utilizing and leveraging the power of Design Center to synchronize their stuff. Like, for example, they would use A360 or Dropbox or any other cloud storage media to synchronize the current version of the DWG file that housed all of the blocks they used for the tool palettes. So if they only had a couple of palettes, I mean, it could really get out of hand quickly if you had a whole bunch of DWG files that you're constantly updating with blocks. But if you just maintain a couple of blocks, a couple of drawings rather, full of blocks, you could grab a copy of it every morning or however often, maybe once a week, and just go to Design Center, right-click it, say, make me a tool palette from this drawing, and you would get a fresh tool palette that had all the updated content that way. And I can see that really being useful with people at various different locations around the country, around the globe, what have you. So, and there's no other way to that quickly build a palette. Synchronization of palettes, if you're all on the same network, yeah, we can do that. But for people that are all over the place and needing to collaborate, a Design Center really gives you an ability that just you can't rarely get from any other part of the program.
I think we've come up to the top of the hour. We want to run the last poll, and I think we just wrap it up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. So let's get it back over to the polls section. And as we always like to ask, the very last thing is, and what we hope is that you hope you learned something today from the presentation. Maybe learn about a feature that you'd never used before, maybe you had used it, maybe you didn't realize all the things you could do with it. That's really our main goal. So I'll go ahead and close this. A little over half of you looks like you voted, but at this time we've got 100% saying yes, so that's fantastic. Quick results there. That's the best we can hope for, and keep the feedback coming in. We love to get any feedback you have for us, be it good, bad, indifferent. It helps us tailor the future webinars for what you want to find out, what you want to learn about. And as always, within the slide decks that we will have available at the links from your invites there, some specific things for Design Center, CAD Manager Control Utility, we touched on that a little bit, and then importing and exporting tool palettes, and that's more of the traditional how to do that rather than using Design Center. So, as I said, if you've got any sort of feedback, what you might want to see in the future, here are some links here in the slide deck that'll be available after the webinar. Looks like at this point, I think we covered all the questions that were outstanding. So, as always, would like to thank you for attending. Dave, did you have any parting words?
No, just again, I was going to thank everybody for taking some time out of their day, and I'm glad that we're able to show something and teach something new for you folks. And hope to see you all back in a future webinar.
All right, well, from all of us here at Autodesk, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.